And basically people are being called and they're attempting to get personal information from you. They leave a voicemail, sometimes with a return phone number, and then you're sent to a recorded message that actually matches a recorded menu for the real Department of Justice, which is really scary. And they then use a quote operator to send you to what's called an investigator, and then they take your personal information. So we just want you to know that that's out there. And again, the best thing that you can do if you get any type of call like this, and for your clients or any people that you're working with, is just let them know to hang up the phone, because they would never be contacted in that way. They wouldn't be asking for any kind of personal information over the phone. And of course, we always have to keep telling our seniors and other people that unless they originate the call, they should not be ever giving out personal information. So just to let you know, but that's the newest one. It's, you know, it's been the court systems before, it's been jury duty, the police department, any of these, and this is a new one with saying they're from the Department of Justice. The other one that was brought up at our the AARP Fraud Watch Network meeting last week is that the Facebook Messenger scam is alive and well again. And I've seen this over the years come and go. Sometimes it blows up, sometimes it doesn't, but it is blowing up right now. This is where somebody that you think that you are friends with either asks for a friend request, which you may have already had them on there, or not. But anyway, they start chatting with you on Messenger, and you think it's somebody that you know, and they say that they found a picture of you. They want you to click on a link so you can see it. They tell you that they saw your name on for a free grant, or that you won something for free. And did you get it yet? Because they already got theirs. And so they want you to click on the link or to call a phone number. Just assume either if you know that person, give them a call personally. But if it's coming up on Messenger, I don't even pay any attention to Messenger. I tell people that messenger me on Facebook that I don't even look at those, and I just delete them because I don't know if they're real or not. A lot of times they will hijack the identity of somebody that is a friend of yours, take it over, you get a friend request, you think that you're already friends with them, but maybe they dropped off or something, so you refriend them again. You can really tell by looking at these that they don't really have a lot of friends. There's not information on there. They pretty much just hijack the picture and some of the information. So your best thing is to actually email whoever that friend is and let them know they've been hacked and compromised. And I had that with somebody I knew just last week that happened. So the important thing is, especially on Messenger, is not to open any links. And again, if you know that person, reach out, which obviously you probably would on Messenger, reach out to see if it was really them. And I guess this is happening on Instagram as well also. The other thing is, because so many people are ordering online and not going into the stores, of course, the scammers are out doing that, doing those sorts of scams as well. You've got to be really careful. We normally talk about this around the holidays, but it's good to put it out there now that these things are going on, because so many people are ordering online and everybody's on Amazon. We don't want to go into the stores, or we're doing it for the basic stuff. But if we just need something, it's faster to order it from Amazon than to get all ready to figure out to go into a store itself. I just know that I have to just, okay, I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to put my mask on, and I've got all my stuff, and I've got my glove to press the, the stuff when I put my credit card through. So it's just a whole different ballgame now than getting in our cars and driving over. But a couple of the different things that they do on online shopping is they create bogus website to lure you in. Also, if you ever see the cookies that are on there where you've looked at a dress, you've looked at a book, you've looked at something, and then it keeps popping up to ask, in these different ads, be careful with those. If you really do want the product, go to the actual website. Don't ever click. That's clickbaiting that they have on social media. You don't ever want to click on that, because in many cases, it's just luring you in and may take you somewhere where you don't want to go, or it's a bogus website. So you've got to be careful on those. There's also scammers that are out there mocking up emails that look like that they're from Amazon, because we're all getting orders from Amazon now. And just be careful with that. I would go to the actual website rather than clicking on anything, and really see if they're trying to contact you, or if there's any information, or if you have an order that's about to be delivered or something. So it may look like it's from Amazon. They cut and paste really well. They've gotten really good at it. Just don't believe it and be careful on that. They also are creating fake customer support phone numbers online. So if you're Googling something and the more times that you hit it, it's moving up on Google by the algorithms. Just be careful of those. Look to see what the website is that you're going to before you click on it. And just because it's on Google does not mean that it's a correct phone number or the correct website. So again, they're looking for credit card numbers. They're looking for personal information. Just be careful with those types of scams. Okay, so those are the three main ones that we're looking at right now. And so now, unless I don't see any questions in the chat box there, we'll go into the tech support scams. This was an interesting podcast. This is another one that had Frank Abagnale on there. Hopefully a lot of you may have seen him when he was here last September. He was just fabulous, just so full of information. And if you guys have ever or ever have the chance to, his book is out, the one that came out last year, and that's a really good book, and it's worth looking at and buying for any seniors in your life to read as well. So this is the 25 million tech support scam. And they're going to talk about that. They talk about at the beginning that these scam artists are in about 150 different countries. A lot of these come out of China, Jamaica, Russia, and India. And it's really hard to prosecute these people. They have, they set up these call centers. And even if they finally figure out where it's coming from, if law enforcement knows where, it's really hard to get to these people or to prosecute them. So it's really a tough situation. This tech support scam was something that happened out of Florida. And this is the type of thing where 40,000 consumers lost $25 million. And this also had to do with the Florida AG's office. So Daryl, if you're ready, we're going to start partway through it. We're not going to play the very beginning, but when this tech support scam story starts.
Okay, Michelle, here comes the first segment.
Okay.
But today, we're not going to talk about romance scams. Instead, we're here to talk about a computer tech telemarketing scam that Adam helped bring down.
That's correct.
Adam, before we get into the story, I just want to clear this up for our listeners. What does the U.S. Postal Inspector do?
Postal inspectors are federal agents who enforce laws that relate to the United States Postal Service. So we investigate drugs through the mail, child pornography through the mail. If there's a robbery at a post office, if a carrier gets assaulted, or occasionally a homicide, we're the investigative agency that deals with that. We also investigate mail fraud, and that's my specialty.
So when Adam is notified about a tech support telemarketing scam involving mail and wire fraud, he and his team begin their investigation.
Back in January of 2016, the Federal Trade Commission told us that there was an increasingly large number of complaints to them regarding this tech support scam. So they told us that it involved owners of computers receiving scary pop-ups on their screens that said, you have a virus, you may have a virus, don't shut down your computer, call us immediately or you risk losing your personal data, your photos, access to your bank accounts, that type of thing. And then when people call in, they're told that they have to pay money to get rid of this pop-up. And also they need to pay money for extra virus protection software.
The scam sounded a bit like this.
Now, would you consider yourself computer savvy?
No.
Okay. Well, real-time protection software is recommended for people who aren't exactly computer savvy because you do get a live certified technician that monitors the system for you.
Okay. So after you receive the notification from the FTC, what do you and your team do next?
The Federal Trade Commission told us what the names of the businesses were that were generating the largest number of complaints. Many of them are in India. We decided kind of strategically that that might be too difficult of a task to take on initially because it would be hard to extradite and hard to investigate subjects that are in the country of India. So we look for a domestic company. The Federal Trade Commission told us about this company that was operating out of the state of Florida. We were put in contact with the Florida Attorney General's office, and we partnered with them to do a parallel criminal investigation of the same company.
The company that Latham and his colleagues focused on was called Client Care Experts. They operated out of Boynton Beach. And the scam sounded a little bit like this.
This message that you're seeing up here on the screen, sir, is a security message, okay? It's a suspicious connection message that could access your login, your banking details, and tracking your internet activity, being stock market, whatever you're...
How did that get on there?
Because
on there by my computer?
it's from the internet, sir. Whatever you were doing on the computer could have been those World War II pictures that you were looking at or something like that, and it caused this type of an issue on the computer. You just don't have malware protection, sir. That's really what it comes down to. This security only comes in a 36-month license. Now, the 36-month license typically by itself is $399.99 for 36 months. I would need to get you that verification for the credits, but the credits would bring your security installation down to $199.99, and that would cover 36 months. So it's 36 months for almost $200, which is about $5 a month.
They had an entire floor of a very large business park building. It was just tables and tables of little cubicles with phones and computer monitors, and the
Okay, thanks, Daryl. So what they did is they got this person on the phone. This call center had about 150 people working on this. They had 2 shifts covering several different time zones across the country. Their tactic was to scare the people. You've got a problem with your computer. This is what it's going to cost you to take care of this problem. Don't turn off your computer. You need to pay to get rid of this virus, pay money for this, and these are how much it's going to cost. The security packages only come, for 36 month and $200 increments. Anyway, they get them in, they get the people confused, but they say, there's a problem and this is what we're going to do to solve it. Okay, Daryl?
were sitting there at their cubicles, staring at their computer monitors and taking calls all day long. There were probably 150 employees. They were running 2 shifts, so they were operating early morning to late at night so they could cover both coasts, and they just had massive numbers of calls coming in each day from victims around the country and even around the world.
The company is running a classic tech scam, targeting senior citizens and others who don't often have a lot of technical know-how.
They were counting on the fact that a pop-up that locks your screen and has scary wording on it is going to frighten people enough that they will call in.
I turned my computer off and turned it back on and reprogrammed. Would that message go away?
No, it would not go away. The message would not go away, but and your computer would still be at a security risk. So I mean, you getting rid of the message is not going to fix the problem.
Well, I don't have a problem possibly, just that I don't have malware. But I have absolutely nobody's attacked it yet or corrupted me. Is that correct?
No, you can't confirm that. No, that's not correct. So you don't receive this message for no reason on your computer.
Client Care Experts has victims in all 50 states.
Okay, so it's still the same situation where they're trying to scare the people. You've got a virus on your computer. You're going to have a problem. This is what you need to do to solve it. And even though the guy was saying, I don't have a problem, he's saying, yeah, you do. And, again, figure 150 people are in there talking to different people to the amount of money that they're making on this situation. Yeah, anyway, go ahead, Daryl. Play the next part.
Of them are in Latham's territory.
I cover southern Illinois and eastern part of Missouri, so I contacted some local victims, interviewed them personally to corroborate what I was reading in the complaints.
While Latham gathers firsthand accounts, the Florida Attorney General's office is setting up a sting.
The Florida Attorney General's office sent an undercover investigator in to pretend to apply for a job, so she was able to go in and get kind of some intel on what the boiler room was like. They set up a brand new computer. There was nothing wrong with it. There was no viruses on it, no malware or anything. They called in the company, and the company basically told them that there was problems with the computer and sold them services that they did not need, because they really did have a virtually brand new computer, and the telemarketers nonetheless told them that there was a problem. So all of that basic investigative stuff allowed a judge to agree that we had evidence of a crime being committed, and so we got a search warrant to enter the place for June of 2016.
When investigators arrive on the scene, reporter Chris Nagus from KMOV TV in St. Louis is there to cover it.
I had heard some information that this might be occurring, and I was able to get down to Boynton Beach, Florida. As this raid was occurring, at 8 o'clock in the morning, you see the federal authorities roll up, and within a few minutes, employees that worked at this client care experts began spilling out the doors, and we had an opportunity to speak to multiple people that work there about what was happening inside this building.
Can you tell us what's going on up there?
Yeah, they just got raided. And as we started to engage some of these employees, some of them were pretty open. Some of them told us, they were worried that they were working at a scam.
Within, a 12-hour day, I see them make anywhere from $100,000 plus on the board.
And how do you know that?
Because they have a giant screen up there, and the screen tells what the profit and everything was for the day.
What stood out to me, how just regular, everyday, innocent people got entangled in this thing. There was a woman, and I'll never forget when she came up to the camera, we interviewed her.
I'm freaking out right now. It's my third day in, and my husband, he told me to quit.
She's probably still in training at that point, learning the ropes, and the next thing you know, you've got federal authorities walking in, telling everybody, that they're serving a warrant. Imagine going to work and being in the middle of something like that.
Adam, we just heard about what the scene was like outside the building. What was going on inside?
This was what we kind of call a soft entry. If we were going to do a search warrant on a place where we thought there might be danger, we would go in kind of hard with guns drawn. But this was a business, so we went into the business, showed them our credentials, and let them know that there was a search warrant and that we were there to shut the place down while we conducted a search.
The owners, how did they respond to this?
They just basically called their attorneys and sat out of the way while we continued with our search. They were cooperative.
Did you find anything surprising in the raid?
What was kind of surprising and was good evidence is that the company actually recorded the last 30 days of all of their sales calls. So we were able to get several thousand calls because they did such a high volume of calls. So we were able to hear the various lies and things that the telemarketers were telling victims in their own words, and that those recorded sales calls turned out to be a key piece of evidence early on that allowed us to get some of the early defendants to cooperate.
Wow, that must have been a huge help.
When you hear your own voice defrauding a consumer, it's really hard to come up with a good defense. So the fact that we got these recordings of actual sales agents on the phones was really key to moving the case forward rather quickly.
Okay, so surprising there, $100,000 a day, one call center, with these people working different shifts. And so it was just like you're working in you're selling something legitimate, in these types of call centers, $100,000 a day. They're in there, just normal people working in there here in the United States. And this doesn't include all the call centers that are offshore out of country. So that was the biggest surprise of all. And, what they were charging, they had not only 30 days of calls recorded, but what they were charging people anywhere from $250 to $400 for the software, which is like sometimes more than what the computers themselves cost. We'll just play one more part of it, another 2 minutes, and then I'll just summarize the rest of that. So, Daryl?
I would never lie on the phone. It's something that I would have a little bit of trouble sleeping at night. And I don't think this is what God would want me to do for a living, is just lie to people all day. I don't think God wants me to do that.
Did you hear anything on those tapes that you didn't expect? Did any of the victims question what Client Care Experts was telling them?
Yes. One of the victim calls that we listened to, she was told that it would cost $250 and that it might cost another $400 for software. And she said, basically, you're crazy. My computer didn't cost this much. The price of computers is coming down so much now that you can get a low-end computer for $700. So yeah, it really was out of hand what they were charging victims to get their problems taken care of.
Got it. Got it. Well, Adam, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for all the work that you do and keeping the bad guys off the streets for us.
All right. Thanks,
Carol,
Julie.
we can end it there.
Nearly 11 months after.
Yeah. So basically, they were able to bring about 7 fraud charges against the men. And what surprised the investigators on this so much was the level of sophistication and how well organized this whole scam was. Just like a regular sales organization. They had publishers that made the ads. They had advertisers that put the information on the computers. They had lead routers. They had sellers that pitched the product. You know, those were the people that talked to the people, the victims, I guess. And then they had the payments group where, you know, for the credit card transactions, it was just like a legitimate business set up and very well organized. They found that the masterminds were the CEO. There was also a chief financial officer and a co-owner. There was a VP of operations who handled the day-to-day stuff in the call center. And it never did end up going to trial because at the last minute, these people pled guilty. But, you know, the important thing is, you know, to summarize is that they took advantage of elderly people that were not really computer savvy. They're by themselves and at home. They really don't have a lot of knowledge about how computers work. And they, in this particular sting, they also went after those who actually ran the operation and the lower level people, because these are the people that take the jobs and are actually talking to the consumers on this and talking to the victims. They prosecuted about 15 sales people. So they didn't just they took out the telemarketers as well, not just the top, you know, the CEO and the chief financial officer. So that was kind of interesting on that. And again, the only reason they could do this is because this was in the United States. It was in Florida. They have a hard time doing anything with the ones that are out of country. So Frank Abagnale at the end summarized, and I don't know how many of you guys listened to the whole podcast, that if you do get a pop-up message, even if it says don't turn off your computer, go ahead and turn off your computer, power it down, and turn it off. And then you want to reboot again. Hopefully that will get rid of the pop-up. Don't send anyone money on anything like this. If you think there's something wrong with your computer, take it to a local computer place to have it fixed or to have it looked at. What they're trying to do is get your credit card number so they can charge other things on there. Never give remote access for these sorts of things, because that's one of the first things they'll ask you. They'll send you a link, ask you to click on it, gives you access to your computer and anything on it, whether you have passwords on there, your email programs. And I've seen so many scams where this happened, where they went in and actually got all that information from people. So again, if you see this pop up, restart your computer. And the biggest thing is don't send money. If you get that phone call, the best thing to do and to tell your clients to do is just hang up the phone. It's not going to be legitimate, because these companies, the Microsofts, the internet companies, are not going to call you. It's hard enough calling them to try and get help. They're not going to call you. So I'll open it up on this particular one, and we can talk some more about some of these tech support scams, but I'll open it up to any questions you guys have out there, or any comments you'd like to make. Anyone? Yeah, is that James wanting to say something? No.
Michelle, this isn't about the podcast. This is going back to the first part of your presentation on scams. What should you do if you get messages from your friends saying, hey, I got a friend request from you on Facebook and we're already friends? You know, you might have been hacked.
Mm-hmm. The first thing you want to do is go in and change your password for Facebook, and possibly change your password on your computer. That's the biggest thing. If you change your password, because then somebody hacked in and they obviously had your password at this point. And that's how they got into your Facebook friends. So that's the main thing that you can do.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Were you guys surprised to hear how much money they made a day and how many people were working there?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Okay, so according to the data, and this, the most recent stuff we have was from 2018 from the Federal Trade Commission, people lose about 55 million to these type of scams that happen, which is a lot. The top method of payment of this was by credit cards, and the median loss was about $400 on this type of scam. And it said that people 60 and older are both great at reporting fraud. So our demographic is really good about reporting this in, whether it's the FTC or to AARP Scam Tracker or the BBB Scam Tracker. They're good about putting this, but they tend to lose, far more likely to report a loss to these tech support scams than a younger person would, even though we have statistics too that people between 20 and 29, the millennials, tend to lose more, tend to be 3 times more likely to be scammed, but they lose less money in a scam than seniors do. So again, their thing is a lot like what Frank Abagnale said, that be really careful about not clicking on any links or doing anything when the pop-ups come up. It's okay to hang up on any of these unexpected calls. The minute you hear that they say they're from tech support or from your internet company or from Microsoft, hang up the phone. I got this call a couple years ago when I was still at BBB, and I used to report on this scam all the time. And I actually got a call at home, and I was so excited. I wanted to keep the person on the phone just to hear what they had to say. And I went through the whole thing. I went through about 20 minutes of it where I kept saying, well, I was trying to turn my computer on and blah, blah, blah. And he went on and on about I had to turn my computer on and he needed to gain access. And even after the point that I told him that I investigate fraud, he didn't understand what I was saying because it was not part of the script. And he kept going on about telling me I had to give him access to my computer. So it was kind of interesting, but the real thing you should do is hang up the phone if you get that phone call. I was just trying to record him and get everything set up when I got the phone call. Don't believe your caller ID. We've talked about this before. I've talked about it all the time. Scammers can spam those phone numbers. They can say that it's the Alaska court system. They can say it's the IRS. They can put whatever they want in there. So never trust what number. And most recent thing, of course, is that they're putting it that it's a 907 number. So you think it's a local number and it's somebody you know or somebody you know calling you. Don't believe it. And again, let those calls go through to voicemail if you don't recognize the number, and see if they leave a message and see what happens. And of course, never give control of your computer to anyone. If for some reason they call, you're still talking to them, or you have clients that are still talking to them, never give anybody access to your computer. They're not going in there to fix anything, trust me. Keep your security software up to date. That could be one of the most important things you do. So many of those, though, are reactive, where they're reacting to a threat that they've heard about or they know, or that are infecting computers. But it's still important to keep it up to date to fix what it is. Every time you do an update for your iPhone, for your computer, for your iPad, a lot of times that's fixing those things or putting these plugs in place for these viruses that do get on or that are trying to get on. And again, if you think something's happened to your computer or whatever device you're using, take it to a trusted local place. The other thing too, and this just came out from AARP from the Fraud Watch Network, basically saying some of the same things, that if it's a pop-up message, again, just ignore it, turn off your computer. They want to fix your problem for a fee. Again, it's just going to be a scam, you know it is. And just hang up the phone. And again, they're looking for credit card numbers or bank account information. And this is basically, be careful of whatever links that you're clicking on. A lot of these could be sponsored links, again, taking you to a place that you don't want to go. that's still considered tech support scams and just technical scams for any type of device that you're on. So again, even with emails, don't click on any links in any emails. I don't care if you think it's from your bank, from your credit card company, go directly to their website, because as we mentioned before, these look legitimate. They learn to copy and paste really well, and you've just got to be really careful. If you did share your password with a scammer for some reason, or you have a client that did, everything needs to be changed that has that password. And you may need to take the device in to be cleaned out by a real tech support, whether it's Best Buy or wherever you take it. Just be careful. And that's why it's so important to have unique passwords for each place that you go. I know it's a hassle and a half, but this is one of the reasons, because if a scammer gets one of your passwords, they're going to try it for different types of accounts to see if it works. And you've got to be so careful with that sort of thing. And make sure your software, that your malware is up to date, that your antivirus software is up to date to get rid of the malware, and to make sure it's not on your computer. I'm trying to think if there's any other information that we can talk. I think that's all I have. So I'd like to open it up to see what you guys are seeing. You guys, some of you belong to other agencies, and I'd like to open it up. Darla, you can take everybody, or you guys can unmute yourselves and tell me what's going on in your areas, and if you want to talk about this. But this is just something I've seen happen with a lot of seniors. It seems to affect our demographic especially. So I'd like to open it up.
And Michelle, this is
Well,
Daryl.
people talk to me.
This is Daryl at AARP. Just wanted to put a plug in. You mentioned this earlier, but the AARP Fraud Watch Network. People can sign on to aarp.org and find the Fraud Watch Network, get up-to-date information, watchdog alerts. You can look up a scam in your area. You can also call a helpline, and there's a helpline on the Fraud Watch Network for AARP, and that phone number is 877-908-3360. Again, that's 877-908-3360. So thanks, Michelle, for letting me put that plug in there for the Fraud Watch Network.
So you guys can unmute, and anybody have any questions for me?
I have a friend here who wants to talk about something she ran across.
What I'm getting is emails from GCI, supposedly, saying that my bill hasn't been paid. And I know it's been paid because I get confirmations on the bill. And then it asks me to go into a look at a my GCI dot whatever, but it's a slightly different kind of site than what real my GCI is. So I don't know if that's happening to other people. I also get the phone calls pretty regularly, the 907 phone calls that are all about your credit card. Is, you know, you could have a better credit card, you could do this, you could do that, just, you know, so those are the things I'm seeing.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting me know about. I hadn't heard about the GCI, but that's a typical utility scam. We've seen those where they've threatened to turn off water, they've threatened to turn off heat and electricity. NSTAR, a couple years ago, there was a ton of them, and NSTAR had to put out their own public relations, their own PR on that, saying, no, this really isn't us doing that. So I'm glad that you investigated that, but that could scare some people and into doing something or clicking on something. But I'm glad that you investigated, saw that it didn't look quite right. And again, you want to delete those, but let people know that that's out there and to be really careful. Yeah.
Besides GCI, I've also gotten emails that are supposedly from Alaska USA that there's a problem with my account. Please click here.
I don't think I know anybody that didn't get a Alaska USA one. I've got it by email. I've got it by text. Everybody, you know, sends them to me because, you know, I'm like the local fraud person. Yeah, I don't know why they picked Alaska USA, but there was a while there where I was probably getting at least one a day. on that. So, and it's, it doesn't cost them anything to do it. And it just, a certain amount of percentage of people click on it, then they've got them.
This is Susan's friend. I also had a very strange thing happen when I was trying to get signed up for Norton Security. And in the middle of signing me up, somehow some group got into the middle of that, and I thought they were Norton people helping me, and got me off and changed my payment schedule and other things. And then we're going to do certain things each month, or it would be, but they weren't Norton. And I don't know.
Did you download, did you go online? And you guys can turn your videos on if you want at this point so we can see each other. But sometimes, did you Google like Norton to add it onto your thing, or how did you get into Norton to begin with, or what you thought was Norton?
Oh, I was with Norton to begin with. And then this came on. Oh, I'm sorry. I Googled Norton to get it set up on my computer.
And that's what you've got to be really careful, because as I said before, just because it's on Google doesn't mean it's a legitimate site. You really got to take a look. And it could be the difference between a .com and .net to make sure that you've got the correct place and not one that the scammers. And were you able to get it shut off? And
yes, Susan actually
and stop your credit card from that.
Yes, I hadn't given him a credit card number, but at that point, but Susan caught it, and I called Norton, and they helped get it cleared off the computer and get me set up, and the company is still billing me.
Yeah, it was a bogus site, so it looked like Norton, and you downloaded what you thought was Norton.
Yes, I did.
The really interesting thing is that we both have LifeLock, and LifeLock and Norton have formed a partnership now. And so they were providing you with this free Norton virus protection kind of stuff, and you just had to go in and activate it. And it was actually when Raina was doing that she got the pop-up saying, here is tech support for you. Just enter here and just reeled her right in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, sorry that happened. I'm glad you got it cleared up then. Yep. Anyone else? We also had something interesting too, because we're all working from home right now, or a lot of us are. And some of the tips from working from home is make sure that you have a secure network and that your router is password protected. And that it's also that you rename it a different name than the actual router, because scammers can actually go in and they know that they know about these pre-made passwords. So that make sure you put your own password when you set that up and not the one that comes with it. And also name it something different so that scammers don't know what the network is necessarily. And again, always password protect any of your devices, whether your laptop, your home computer, whatever, and make sure there's a password on there. And of course, anything that has any kind of identifying information on it, you want to shred it. And that's always been my thing when I was at BBB, is that we had our shred days. AARP is now having, or had one last year, had a shred day. Maybe there'll be one in the future, Daryl. And it's so important that you correctly get rid of anything that has personal information, old tax returns, your bills, your utility bills, all of that needs to be shred. Never just tear it up and throw it away. I still keep a Shred Alaska, one of their big laundry type bags, and I fill it up, and for $10 I take it over there and they put it into their thing. And I have a shredder, it's just easier to throw it in the bag and take that in, twice a year. So, or to bring it to one of the free shred days. So.
Michelle, this is Daryl. Yes, when we are given the green light to return to in-person events, with what was one of our favorite events that we were part of and to sponsor. So I look forward to the day when we can bring back the shred events in person as well.
Fingers crossed, huh, everybody?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else? We've got some time, but anybody else like to discuss anything? I'd love to see your faces. You're all seeing mine. Hi, Gail. Yeah. Okay. Daryl, do you have anything else?
We just, one announcement. We do have another Fraud Watchdog team presentation on October 22nd at 3:30. So we'll be back with Michelle in just under a month, and you can go to arp.org/AK to look for that event. It'll be up on our website here shortly, so you can register. Gail, it looked like you might have been trying to say something, but you were on mute, so I'd like to invite you to come back and ask your question again.
You're still on mute, Gail.
Let's see if we can
Unmute.
There
Okay,
you go.
There we go. When you talk about shredding, we've been shredding and making sure that our address and information, names and all that. Do you shred the entire electric bill, the entire water bill?
I would. Why spend time tearing it up? Just put it in the shredder or put it in a shred bag.
Okay.
Yeah. I've even gotten to the point where I've gotten really lazy when I get an envelope that has anything, and I know it's something I don't even want to open. I just throw the whole thing in there rather than, sit there, take it out of the envelope and put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figure, okay, it fills up the bag for $10. It's worth it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Michelle, big thank you to you for leading the conversation again today and for setting this whole thing up and teeing it up for everyone today. Really appreciate your time on this, and we look forward to seeing you again. Janae, good to see you again, but we look forward to seeing everybody else on October 22nd. And I guess until then, be safe out there and stay healthy, everyone.